Hello again. There are two very basic emotions, love and fear. There are those who say we're either coming from a point of view of love or we're coming from a point of view of fear. And you think, well, how can anger be fear? Well, anger is usually a fear of losing something, and love is what it is. We all know what love is, I think. So when we're in fear of losing love, then we're in fear, or we're in a place of hatred, which is connected with fear as well. And obviously fear fuels anxiety. We have fear of loss, we have fear of growing older, we have fear of losing our hair, losing our looks, whatever it is, but we can be plagued by these various fears. So that instead of living in the moment, we're always worrying about the future, which is basically anxiety, worrying about what ifs, what might happen, what could possibly happen, what if I go on a plane and it crashes, what if I go on a boat and it sinks. And that can lead us to living a very constricted life if we then come to choose that life is so frightening that I can't do anything. Irving Yalom, the great psychiatrist, in one of his books says, leave death nothing but a burnt out castle. So in other words, we've only got this present moment in time, so we ought to live now so that when we lie on our deathbeds, what we've got left is an empty life, the shell of a life, because we've lived it. And so we can reflect on those memories. We don't often lay there dying and think, oh, I wish I'd watched another episode of Coronation Street. What we do is we reflect on the memories that we've made and on the places we've been and the people we've loved, the people we've seen. And so we must live now, we must live in this moment and try to free ourselves as much as possible from fear. Now, fear is obviously linked to the anxiety response, so we can't be completely free of fear, or we'd just be oblivious to any risk or any threat. So we've got to take a reasonable gamble that we've got to be, fairly safe, but not be completely, carefree and abandoned to risk completely. Otherwise, we might meet an earlier deathbed than we planned if we become complete hedonists. So we've got to make that risk. So we're either coming from a place of love or we're coming from a place of fear. And this ties into risk-taking and security and freedom. So an English writer called Dorothy Rowe writes quite well about this whole thing. She's a psychologist and writes about security and freedom, and she says that the more security we have, the less freedom we have, and the more freedom we have, the less security we have. So I very often say to patients, any one of us can get some money together and make a new life somewhere. We can fly to Brazil, we can beg, steal or borrow £800 for a plane ticket, fly from Heathrow to Brazil and make a new life there. But no one ever wants to do it because, of course, some of us have got contacts and dependents, but even those who are free don't want to do it because of fear. They fear what will happen when I get to Brazil. They fear they won't be able to get any work, or they'll get mugged, or if they get work, they'll get mugged and their money taken off them. So they become tied up with fear of what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if? And that stops them from living, and it gives them a constrained life again. So instead of embracing the freedom, they close the door on freedom and say, oh no, I'd rather be here. I won't buy a Ferrari in case someone scratches it. I won't go to Brazil in case I get lost. I won't do this in case, what if. So people live a constrained life, and that isn't love, that's fear. And that's the quest for security. We all need, in a way, that security. And of course, as Dorothy Rowe says, the more security we have, the less freedom we have. So if you've got a very secure job, I'm trying to think of one. Say you know, in the day and age when jobs were secure, like they would be in Japan these days, you had a very secure job. You could work there for 40 years. On your 65th birthday, get a gold watch, and then enjoy a final salary pension, like teachers used to be able to do in the 1980s in the UK. And they could live off that pension until the day they died. So that's very nice, very secure, but there's no freedom. You can't just float away and, you know, find yourself in Bali or whatever it is you want to do. So you've got to give up your freedom in order to be secure. Most of us anyway. If you want freedom, if you want to go and find yourself in Bali or the Indian Ocean or Australia or Panama, then you have no security, because you've just got to float away and say, come what may, I'll be okay. I will go to X, Y or Z and I'll be okay because I can look after myself and everything will be okay. But you've got to have been loved in order to come to that conclusion. Which brings me to my final point about this. That inner security to be able to explore freedom comes from secure attachment, or what John Bowlby called a secure base. And he talked a lot and did many studies with Mary Main about secure upbringing patterns. So if a child is loved and feels secure, then they're able to explore freedom and the world, because they learn when they're babies that everything will be okay. So a good mother, or a good enough mother as he called it, would be able to allow the child to explore without bestowing on the child too much fear. If she is too anxious and gives the child a sense of anxiety, which is called anxious attachment, then the child will never get on the plane, and he'll never go to Brazil, and he'll never be able to explore his freedom, because he'll be seeking security, because he learnt as a small child that he couldn't cope. That was the message he got as childhood. Obviously the mother didn't wake up and say, I'll give my child today the message that he'll never be able to cope. Nobody wants to do that. Not many parents wake up and think, I know today I'll ruin my child's life. What happens is they give the message subconsciously, and so the child learns that he can't cope. So that child never gets on the plane, never goes to Brazil, never explores freedom, is always seeking security, sometimes at worst in codependent relationships where he's so frightened of everything that he attaches himself to a strong partner, he or she, to a strong partner who sorts everything out for them. So afraid are they of the shadows. They become crippled and they become unable to explore the whole of life. Unfortunately, they may lay on the deathbed and think, I've never done anything. Life has never given me what I dreamed. Life has killed the dream I dreamed. Which is obviously a very sad conclusion. So, more security, less freedom. Less freedom, more security. The security comes from within. And that security within comes from childhood. Now what can you do if you had a childhood that gave you the message that you'd never be able to do anything and you always had to depend on someone else? What you can do is push yourself slightly. There's your comfort zone, and you've just got to push slightly against it in order to explore freedom. The best way to do that is to habituate yourself towards the anxiety that that slight pushing provokes. And it does provoke some anxiety, it provokes some fear, and you've got to embrace that fear, because on the other side of fear, when you pass through the comfort zone, is excitement. There lies Brazil, and there you could be too, if only you're able to embrace it. Freedom is in the reach of all of us. It's just a matter of taking it, taking the mantle, living life fully, because life is so short. Death is only ever in the peripheral vision of all of us, and all too soon it's upon us. Every year another wrinkle, every year a little less hair, a little more grey, until it's gone. So live for now, embrace freedom, try your best. Good luck, and thanks for watching again.